Welcome to this week's virtual Drasha. This week we have the incredible privilege to read Parashas Vaeyra, and the Parasha begins with a dynamic and dramatic dialogue between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Moshe Rabbeinu. Remember, Moshe Rabbeinu was feeling very down after how the interaction with Paro went in last week's Parasha, because remember again, Moshe Rabbeinu comes armed with a message of redemption, and Paro, how does Paro respond? Tichpat ha'avoda. Obviously, if you have time to think about freedom, you have time to think about redemption, that means you have too much time on your hands in general, and therefore, more work, harder work. Moshe Rabbeinu is theologically distraught because Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't understand why bad things are happening to good people. And so at the beginning of this week's Parasha, HaKadosh Baruch Hu engages Moshe Rabbeinu in that dialogue. But then something amazing happens. Hashem says to Moshe, I want you to go back to the people, and I'm going to give you the drasha. I'm going to give you the words. I'm going to give you the formulation. And in fact, again, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives Moshe Rabbeinu is for us what we end up calling the Arba Lashonos Shal Geula, the four expressions of redemption. Votseisi, I will take you out. V'hitzalti, I will save you. V'ga'alti, I will redeem you. V'lakachti, I will take you to me as a nation. And of course, the fifth expression, v'hevesi, I will bring you to Eretz Yisrael. We, of course, memorialize these expressions of redemption at the Pesach Seder. We have 4 cups of wine corresponding to the 4 expressions. And of course, the fifth expression, v'hevesi, I'll bring you to Eretz Yisrael, which we understand to really mean messianic redemption, that is memorialized in the koshel, the cup of Elijah, that we put on the table, we look at, but we don't yet drink. Halavai will be zochem mirtz Hashem bikarov. But what I want to draw your attention to is something amazing. In this first expression, Hashem says to Moshe the following idea. This is in Perek Vav, Pasuk Vav, chapter 6, verse 6. Lachein emar libnei Yisrael. Moshe, I want you to go, and I want you to say the following to the Jewish people. Ani Hashem, I am God. Votseisi eschem mitachas sivlos Mitzrayim. And I will take you out from underneath the sivlos. The sivlos. What is it? What's the title? What's the meaning? What's the definition of the word sivlos? So Rashi HaKodesh says sivlos is Torah Masa Mitzrayim. The load, the heaviness of the load of Egypt which sits upon you. Now, of course, that load, of course, could refer to a physical load. The fact that the people were doing backbreaking labor that effectively become beasts of burden, but it can also refer to the emotional load, right? That being in Egypt was a heavy, overwhelming experience. So I will take you out from Sivlos, from the burdens of Egypt, from the burdens which weighed down on you so heavily. And in fact, it's interesting because this same word is used twice within 3 psukim. Just a couple of psukim later, the pasuk says, actually 1 pasuk later, the next pasuk. I'll take, right, V'yadatem ki ani Hashem Elokechem, you will know that I am Hashem your God, hamotzi eschem mitachas sivlos Mitzrayim. I'm taking you out from underneath the burdens of Egypt. It's always intriguing when the Torah Kadosh uses the same word twice within 2 psukim. The way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu describes the Egyptian experience is one of sivlos, burdens. And I'll share with you an incredible idea. The great tzaddik, Chidushei Arim, the Ger Rebbe, says the following. A little bit of a play on words. He says, Sivlos, otzia eschem mitoch hasavlanus sheyesh bachem klape hamitzrim. This is incredible. The Rebbe says Sivlos, we translate it as burden. The Rebbe says Sivlos is also savlanut, patience. I'll take you out from the patience of Egypt. Now, what does this mean to take Klal Yisrael out from the patience of Egypt? Amis be'einechem es hagolos v'estavosel ad kilo tuchlu la'seisa osa. This is incredible. The Ger Rebbe, the Chidushei Arim says, do you know what the problem with Klal Yisrael in Egypt at this time was? You know what the real problem was? Patience. They were very patient with their current circumstances. You'll say, how could they be patient? They were slaves, they were beasts of burden. Sometimes a person becomes patient with their current circumstances when they resign themselves to their current circumstances. If I accept that this is what it is, right? My current situation, this is how it is. This is life. It's an immutable reality. There's nothing else to do. There's nothing to be done about it. Then suddenly, again, I have savlanut. I have patience. Okay, this is what it is. What am I going to do? I'm going to spend my life worrying about? This is what it is. I have savlanut. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, Moshe, do you know what the problem of Klal Yisrael is? Votseisi eschem mitachas sivlos Mitzrayim. Not the burden. not the burden. I'm going to take them out from the savlanut, from the patience of Egypt. They're too patient with their circumstances. They're too complacent with their circumstances. They're too accepting of their current reality. You see what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is describing to Moshe Rabbeinu. As Klal Yisrael had effectively given up. That's why, again, we know the end of this story. Moshe Rabbeinu comes and delivers this magnificent drasha. And what's Klal Yisrael's response? V'lo shamu el Moshe. They didn't listen. Why? They had hard work. Moshe, thanks. Got it. Back to work. See, they were patient and accepting of their circumstances. And isn't this an incredible idea that Chiddush Hashem is highlighting for us? Because the truth is, we often speak about patience, and being patient is very important. We like to say patience is a virtue. It's not just a virtue, it's a necessity. In life, we require a sense of patience. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's plan often spans over an entire lifetime, multiple lifetimes. Sometimes the things we want out of life are meaningful and beautiful and great, but they're going to take time. So you have to have patience in life. You have to have patience for God's plan to unfold, and you have to have patience for your own personalistic self-actualization to unfold as well. But sometimes, says the Chidushei Harim, patience is not a virtue. Patience is detrimental. Sometimes patience becomes complacency. Sometimes being too patient with compromised circumstances allows me just to accept them as my newfound default reality. I stop thinking about something bigger. I stop dreaming about something better. Why? Because I've simply become patient with who I am, what I am, and where I am in life. That was the message that Hashem was giving to Moshe. Votseisi eschem mitachas sivlos Mitzrayim. Klal Yisrael's greatest problem now is not Paro. Klal Yisrael's basic problem now, was savlanut. They were too patient, too accepting, had resigned themselves to their current circumstances. And the moment you're just too patient with your life, with your current reality, is the moment you give up hope for anything bigger and better. There's an incredible story that's told. It's probably one of my favorite stories of all time. A story that's told about the great tzaddik, the Maggid, Rav Nachum of Chernobyl. And the story is told that one time the Maggid was traveling, and he checked into an inn of a simple Jew. All good Chassidish and Maisalach happen at an inn. So Rav Nachum of Chernobyl, the great tzaddik, the great Maggid, checks into an inn, and again, simple Jew. But of course, the simple Jew knows who his guest is, Rav Nachum of Chernobyl. He gives Rav a beautiful room, gives him what to eat, fine. The innkeeper goes to sleep. Rav Nachum of Chernobyl goes to his room, and in the middle of the night, the innkeeper is woken up, startled by he hears crying. And not just crying, but sobbing. And not just sobbing, but again, heart-rending sobbing. The innkeeper hears coming from the room of Nachum of Chernobyl. The innkeeper runs into the room. He sees the Maggid, he sees Rav Nachum of Chernobyl sitting on the floor, literally sobbing his heart out. He says, Rebbe, what's wrong? What is it? Was it the food? No. The Rebbe says, Rav Nachum of Chernobyl says, no, the food was great. Is it the bed? Maybe the bed's not comfortable. Rav Nachum of Chernobyl says, no, the bed is great. The accommodations are fantastic. To which the innkeeper says, Rebbe, so if everything is okay, could I ask why you're sobbing? So the Rebbe says, I'm so sorry for waking you. I was saying Tikkun Chatzos. Tikkun Chatzos. Simple innkeeper says, Rebbe, you'll excuse me. What's Tikkun Chatzos? So he says, that's when we mourn for the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. To which the simple innkeeper says, Rebbe, listen to this, Rebbe. What was the Beis HaMikdash? To which Rav Nachum of Chernobyl takes the hands of this simple Jew in his hands and he says, my dear innkeeper, years and years ago, we had a beautiful Beis HaMikdash, a beautiful temple that stood on the Har HaBayis, that was the center point, the focal point for all of Klal Yisrael's spiritual activity. It was where heaven met earth and where earth met heaven. It was where man and God were able to come together in such holy and beautiful and intimate connection. And it was destroyed. But we mourn for it, and in the schus of the constant and perpetual mourning, Eretz Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu will rebuild it for us. And Rav Nachum Chernobyl says to the innkeeper, tell me, my dear innkeeper, when the Beis Hamikdash is rebuilt, are you going to come back with me to Yerushalayim? Are you ready? Are you ready? Because Mashiach comes, we're going to get to go back. Are you going to come back with me? To which the innkeeper pauses this moment. He thinks, he says, you know what, Rebbe, it's a good question. I'm going to go ask my wife. Go ask my wife. It's a good Jewish husband. I'm going to go ask my wife. So the innkeeper leaves the room. He comes back to the Rebbe Kol Ben Seder. He said, Rebbe, I spoke to my wife about this whole Mashiach thing, the third Beis Hamikdash thing, going back to Yerushalayim. My wife said, it sounds so nice, but we can't. We can't. Reb Nachum says, why can't you come back to Yerushalayim when the Beis Hamikdash is rebuilt? Very simple. You know what? We have an inn. We have chicken coop. We have cows. We have goats. We have sheep. We have all this stuff. We have all this livestock to look after. We can't go back with you. We're so sorry. To which Reb Nachum says, but what about all the anti-Semitism, the pogroms, the Cossacks, all these different people who make your life miserable? Isn't it worth it to give up the inn, to give up the goats, the sheep, the cows, the chickens, to come to Eretz Yisrael, to be in the Beis Hamikdash, to be with Klal Yisrael, to be with Mashiach, to live in the safety of your people and your land? Innkeeper says, you know what? Zargi, you're saying good. You're saying good. Let me go ask my wife again. Innkeeper leaves. He comes back a few minutes later. He says, Rebbe, my wife has a different idea. When Mashiach comes and they rebuild the Beis Hamikdash, if you could please take the Cossacks and the Crusaders to Yerushalayim, that would be fantastic. Then we'll be happy and settled right here. You know, we say the Maisa, and sometimes it brings a little smirk to our face, right? A little chuckle. But the truth is, it's a tragic story. Because it's the story of a good man, a simple Jew, who became so patient with his circumstances that he just simply couldn't imagine or couldn't think of anything better for himself. The most he could think of is a life without Cossacks, a life without pogroms. I have my inn, I have my chickens, I have my goat, I have my sheep. Shalom Yisrael. And when the Rebbe of Chernobyl, Nachum Chernobyl, says to him, but there's something so much greater potentially waiting for you. Sivlos Mitzrayim. I'm patient. I'm good. And here, dear friends, lies the very challenge of the human condition. Patience is a virtue at times. Yes, there are many times like you have to be patient with your circumstances, wait for things to change, wait for things to evolve. But there are many other circumstances in life where you have to be ragingly impatient. Ragingly impatient. I'm not going to be patient with myself. There are things I need to change. I need to change it now. There are things I need to do that I need to do now. There are circumstances in my life that I need to alter. I need to alter it now. Yes, are there things that need patience? Are there things that need time? Absolutely. But there are so many other things that can and should happen now. There are so many other things in life for which we have to stop being so patient. The words that Hashem gave to Moshe to tell our ancestors, and the words that Hashem whispers into our ears on this very day. Be patient with certain things, and stop being so patient with others. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu give us the wisdom to know what we need to be patient with, and may He give us the strength to stop being patient with the things in which we could affect change right now. Wishing everyone a good Erev Shabbos and a beautiful Shabbos Kodesh.